Something has changed in the way Americans shop, eat, borrow, work, and talk about money. It is not a sudden panic. It is quieter, more personal, and visible in 1,000 small decisions. The item put back, the dinner canceled, the repair delayed, the second job considered. The economy can still produce respectable headlines while millions of households feel trapped. Inflation can cool while prices remain painfully high. Spending can rise because the same cart costs more. Employment can grow while finding a good new job becomes harder. That gap between the official language and the kitchen table reality is where anxiety grows. By the end, you will see 15 clear signals that people are no longer treating high costs as temporary. They are rebuilding daily life around the possibility that relief may not come soon. This is not a claim that every family is struggling or that the country is already in a recession. Household finances vary enormously. Some people own rising assets and carry little debt. Others are one car repair away from missing rent. The evidence comes from public inflation data, household surveys, debt reports, labor figures, and the behavior retailers themselves are responding to. The story is not that Americans stop spending. The story is how they spend, what they sacrifice, and what they now fear. And the most revealing clues are not on a stock chart. They are in grocery aisles, credit card statements, job searches, apartment decisions, restaurant menus, and conversations that begin with the same sentence. How did everything get this expensive? The first signal is the anger caused by a simple economic misunderstanding. When officials say inflation is slowing, many people hear that prices are falling. Usually, it only means prices are rising more slowly than before. A carton, a repair, or a rent payment that jumped during the inflation surge does not automatically return to its old level. The higher price becomes the new starting point. That is why a better inflation rate can coexist with a worse household mood. Recent federal data still showed broad prices above the prior year, with food, shelter, electricity, medical services, and repairs continuing to pressure budgets. Some categories cooled, others kept climbing. Families do not buy the average. They buy what their lives require. A household with children, a long commute, a medical condition, or a rent renewal can experience a much harsher economy than the national average. The official basket is useful, but nobody lives inside an average basket. This is where frustration turns into distrust. People compare economists talking about progress with receipts showing another expensive week. Both can be technically true, but only one is waiting at the checkout counter. The emotional response is not ignorance. It is the realization that slowing damage is not the same as repairing damage. After several years of price increases, many households need actual breathing room, not a smaller increase in pressure. That distinction matters because wages also arrive unevenly. A worker may receive a raise and still lose ground after rent, insurance, groceries, and utilities reset higher. A percentage on a paycheck does not guarantee more freedom at the end of the month. So the first sign of fear is linguistic. Americans increasingly reject the sentence that the economy is doing fine because the sentence does not describe their cash flow. When official improvement does not feel like personal improvement, confidence cracks. And once confidence cracks, every ordinary purchase becomes a forecast. People do not ask only, "Can I afford this today?" They ask, "What if food rises again? My hours are cut, the car fails, or the landlord raises the rent?" The next signal appears before shoppers even enter the store. Grocery lists are becoming defensive documents. They are written around sale prices, substitute items, pantry inventory, and a hard ceiling that the total is not allowed to cross. That sounds responsible, and it is. But there is a difference between budgeting to build wealth and budgeting to prevent a routine trip from breaking the week. The second version carries tension into every aisle. Shoppers now perform mental arithmetic that used to feel unnecessary. They compare ounces, servings, unit prices, coupons, app offers, and whether the family will actually eat the cheaper option. A grocery run has become a small procurement operation. Federal price data showed food at home still costing more than a year earlier. Coffee, fresh produce, bakery items, and other basics moved differently, which makes the pain unpredictable. A calm average can hide sharp increases in the exact items one household buys. The result is a smaller, more controlled basket. People skip the backup jar, the extra snack, the convenient prepared meal, or the premium ingredient. Nothing looks dramatic in isolation. Together, those missing items reveal a nervous consumer. Another clue is shopping frequency. Some households buy less at once and return more often because a large total feels dangerous. Smaller trips create the feeling of control, even when repeated visits can make it harder to track the monthly cost. Others delay shopping until the refrigerator is nearly empty. They stretch leftovers, redesign meals around what remains, and treat food waste as a financial offense. The anxiety is not just about price, it is about losing control of the household system. Parents often absorb the adjustment first. They keep familiar foods for children while cutting their own preferences. They downgrade lunch, skip a personal treat, or make the same meal last another day. The sacrifice rarely appears in economic headlines. This is why grocery behavior is such a strong warning signal. Food is unavoidable, frequent, and emotionally loaded. When people feel hunted by the price of dinner, the stress follows them into every other financial decision. Then comes the rapid rise of store brands. Private labels were once treated as the compromise choice. Now they are becoming the default in millions of carts, not only for low-income shoppers but for middle and higher-income households seeking control. An industry survey released this year found store brands in more than 9 out of 10 shoppers' homes. Nearly half said they had increased those purchases, and most said they would keep buying them even if grocery prices eased. That is not merely a temporary hunt for bargains. It is a shift in trust. Shoppers are discovering that the cheaper cereal, sauce, medicine, paper product, or frozen meal may be close enough in quality to break a lifelong brand habit. For national brands, that is a serious problem. A consumer who switches during a stressful year may never return. Once the household learns that the logo was carrying a large premium, the old price becomes harder to justify. Retailers understand this perfectly. Private labels can strengthen loyalty to the store, improve margins, and give the chain more control over pricing and product placement. The bargain can help the shopper while also serving the retailer's strategy. That is the uncomfortable truth. Value is not charity. A store brand can be cheaper than a famous alternative and still be highly profitable. The retailer is not rescuing the customer. It is competing for a more cautious customer. Premium private labels add another layer. Stores can offer a basic version, a mid-range version, and an upscale version under their own umbrella. That turns one anxious shopper into several possible margin levels without sending the shopper to a national brand. Ordinary buyers often miss this because the packaging is designed to feel independent. Different names, colors, and stories can all belong to the same retailer. The shelf appears diverse while the store quietly owns more of the choice. The private label boom is therefore both a symptom and a lasting change. Americans are not only cutting costs, they are rewriting the rules of what deserves loyalty, and they are doing it because the old rules became too expensive. The next sign is the growing obsession with package size. A price can look stable while the box gets thinner, the bag gets lighter, or the number of servings quietly falls. That is shrinkflation, and it works because shoppers remember the package, not the weight. Government researchers have documented how downsizing can raise the unit price without creating the same shock as a visible price increase. The front of the package looks familiar. The hidden change is discovered later, usually when the product runs out sooner. This strategy is powerful because human attention is limited. In a crowded aisle, a shopper tracks price, brand, flavor, health claims, children, time, and the rest of the list. Ounces are easy to ignore, especially when the package shape barely changes. A smaller package can also preserve a familiar sticker price. That matters because shoppers anchor on thresholds. A company may prefer to keep an item just below a psychologically important amount rather than display a larger jump. But the household still pays. It buys the item more often, uses more packages for the same recipe, or discovers that the family size label no longer matches the family. The inflation is real even when the shelf tag barely moves. Unit pricing is the defense, but even that is imperfect. Shelf labels may use different units, tiny print, or inconsistent comparisons. One item is priced per ounce, another per count, and another per pound. The shopper must translate while people wait behind the cart. Serving sizes can mislead in a different way. A package may claim many servings, but the stated portion may not match how people actually eat. The important question is not how many servings the label promises. It is how long the product lasts in the home. Shrinkflation also damages trust beyond the item itself. Once consumers suspect that every redesign may hide less product, attractive packaging begins to feel like camouflage. That suspicion turns shopping into a defensive exercise, and defensive shoppers are a sign of economic fear. They are no longer asking which product is best. They are asking which product is trying hardest to make the true price difficult to see. Another signal is dependence on loyalty cards and digital coupons. The shelf price is increasingly only the beginning. The real price may require a membership, an app, a clipped offer, a phone number, or the willingness to surrender shopping data. For a disciplined shopper, these programs can produce real savings. The problem is that the discount is often funded by complexity. People who forget the app, miss the weekly activation, lack a smartphone, or do not understand the rules can pay more. That creates a two-tier grocery experience. One customer sees the advertised deal. Another reaches the register and learns that the price belonged only to members who completed the correct digital step. Embarrassment becomes part of the transaction. Coupons also change behavior. A discount feels like money saved, but it may persuade someone to buy a larger package, an extra item, or a product that was never on the list. The bargain is real only if it reduces the cost of something already needed. Loyalty systems are valuable because they reveal patterns. Stores can learn what a household buys, how often it returns, which offers change its behavior, and when it is likely to switch. That data can make promotions more relevant and more profitable. Federal regulators have examined pricing tools that can use location, browsing, purchase history, and other personal data to tailor offers or prices. That does not mean every grocery tag is personalized. It means the technology for highly targeted pricing is real. The controversy is not that personalization is always harmful. A useful coupon can help. The concern is opacity. Shoppers may not know why one person received a better offer, what data shaped it, or whether loyalty is being rewarded or exploited. When households feel financially secure, missing a coupon is annoying. When they feel squeezed, missing it feels like failure. That emotional dependence on a discount system is another sign that normal prices no longer feel normal. The modern shopper is not simply choosing food. The shopper is managing access to prices, and the store has turned savings into a game whose rules can change every week. The next behavior is basket splitting. Instead of one weekly store, families visit several. Produce may come from one place, pantry goods from another, meat from a warehouse, and household supplies from a discount chain. This can save money, but it has hidden costs: fuel, time, membership fees, impulse purchases, and the mental burden of remembering where each item is cheapest. A lower receipt at one store does not always mean a lower total system cost. Sales cycles make the puzzle harder. A shopper learns that detergent is cheap this week, coffee next week, and meat only when a promotion appears. The pantry becomes a hedge against future prices, but stocking up requires cash and storage. Bulk buying can be smart when the unit price is lower and the product will be used. It can also become an expensive illusion. A huge package that goes stale, expires, or encourages faster consumption is not savings. It is prepaid waste. Store layouts quietly push against discipline. High-margin products receive prominent placement. End caps create urgency. Eye-level shelves capture attention. Checkout areas turn waiting time into one last chance to add a small, profitable item. None of this requires a conspiracy. Retailers test what sells. The uncomfortable truth is that the environment is built to convert attention into spending, while the anxious shopper is trying to convert attention into restraint. Convenience products exploit the same pressure. Pre-cut fruit, single-serve snacks, ready meals, and individually wrapped portions cost more because they save time. For an exhausted household, convenience may be necessary, not frivolous. That is why simplistic advice to cook everything from scratch can sound insulting. Time is also a resource. A parent working late may rationally pay more for speed, then feel guilty for doing what the schedule required. Store hopping is therefore not just bargain hunting. It is evidence that households no longer trust one retailer to offer fair value across the basket. They are building their own fragmented market, one receipt at a time. The same tension is reshaping restaurants. People still want the relief, connection, and pleasure of eating out, but value has become the entry ticket. Menus, promotions, and loyalty offers now compete for customers who calculate the entire outing before leaving home. Industry research has shown that many consumers would use restaurants more often if they had more money available. That sentence captures the mood. Demand has not disappeared. Disposable cash has become the gatekeeper. So diners trade down. They choose lunch instead of dinner, pickup instead of table service, water instead of drinks, an appetizer instead of an entree, or a value bundle instead of the item they actually wanted. Restaurants respond with limited offers, smaller portions, bundled meals, and app rewards. These can deliver genuine value, but they also steer customers toward combinations designed to protect traffic and margins. The menu itself can hide inflation. A favorite dish may cost more, include fewer sides, use a cheaper ingredient, or arrive in a smaller portion. The customer experiences the change as a vague sense that the meal is no longer worth it. Tipping adds another layer of stress. Digital screens may present suggested percentages before the customer has processed the base price. People feel pressure from workers' needs, social expectations, and their own shrinking budget at the same moment. Home cooking rises not because everyone suddenly loves meal preparation, but because the restaurant premium becomes impossible to ignore. A family can compare one dinner out with several meals assembled from groceries, even at elevated supermarket prices. Yet the shift is not complete. Many households preserve small restaurant rituals because cutting every pleasure makes financial strain emotionally unbearable. They may cancel a major outing, but protect one modest meal as a form of normal life. That selective spending is not irrational. It is the behavior of people trying to stay human while staying solvent. The fear shows up in how carefully the pleasure must now be planned. Delivery apps reveal the convenience tax in its clearest form. The menu price can be higher than pickup. Then service fees, delivery fees, small order charges, taxes, and tips arrive at checkout. A simple meal becomes a stack of separate decisions. The danger is the first screen. It shows food, not the final total. Hunger makes the shopper focus on the item, while the full cost is delayed until time and attention have already been invested in the order. Subscriptions and memberships can reduce some fees, but they create another commitment. The customer must order often enough to justify the monthly charge, which can turn a tool for saving money into a reason to spend more. Grocery delivery has a similar trade-off. It can prevent impulse buying and save time, yet app prices may differ from in-store prices, substitutions can change the bill, and fees can erase the savings from a carefully planned basket. Convenience is not the enemy. It helps disabled shoppers, caregivers, people without transportation, workers with punishing schedules, and anyone facing an emergency. The problem is when financial stress makes a needed service feel like a personal failure. More households now compare pickup, delivery, and cooking with almost forensic attention. They test whether a promotion survives the fees. They remove items one by one at checkout until the number feels survivable. That behavior matters because abandoned carts are not only a marketing problem, they are a live measure of hesitation. The customer wants the purchase, reaches the final price, and retreats. A confident consumer pays for convenience because time is valuable. A frightened consumer pays for convenience only after negotiating with guilt. The service is the same. The emotional economy is completely different. When convenience becomes a luxury, daily life becomes harder. The household does not merely spend less. It must supply more labor, more planning, and more patience to replace what money used to purchase. The next sign is the use of debt to smooth ordinary life. Credit cards once reserved for emergencies or large purchases are increasingly used to bridge groceries, utilities, fuel, medical bills, and the days before payday. Federal data show household debt near record levels in dollar terms, with credit card balances above $1 trillion. Aggregate balance sheets may still look manageable, but delinquencies on cards and auto loans remain elevated compared with much of the past decade. The key distinction is between convenience debt and survival debt. A card paid in full can be a payment tool. A balance carried at a high interest rate turns last month's groceries into next month's financial burden. Interest makes the original price almost irrelevant. A household may save carefully in the store, then lose far more by carrying the balance. The system rewards cash flow, not effort. People with the least room often pay the highest effective price. Buy now, pay later products add another layer. Splitting a purchase into several payments can make the first amount feel harmless. The danger appears when multiple plans overlap, and each future paycheck is already divided before it arrives. Federal consumer research has found these products widely used, with some borrowers holding several loans at once. The issue is not that every installment plan is reckless. It is that fragmented obligations are harder to see as one total debt load. Essential purchases financed in pieces are especially revealing. When a household needs installments for clothing, school supplies, groceries, or a routine repair, the problem is not impatience. The problem is a mismatch between income timing and basic costs. Late fees are only part of the risk. Automatic withdrawals can collide with rent, utilities, or other scheduled payments. One small plan can trigger overdrafts or force another bill onto a card. Debt becomes a sign of fear when it stops expanding possibility and starts preserving normality. The household is not borrowing for a better future. It is borrowing to make the present look less broken. Then comes bill triage. Families decide which obligation can be delayed without immediate disaster. The electric bill competes with the medical payment, the credit card with the car repair, and the grocery budget with everything. A recent Federal Reserve household survey found that about 1 in 6 adults had not paid all bills in the prior month. That is not a fringe condition. It means millions of people are making choices where every option carries a penalty. The same survey found that many adults had skipped medical expenses because of cost. Delayed care can look like savings for a few weeks, then become a larger health and financial problem later. Emergency savings reveal the fragility. A majority said they could cover a modest surprise expense with cash or an equivalent method, but a large minority could not. One ordinary breakdown can still force debt, borrowing from family, or a missed payment. Unexpected expenses are not truly unexpected in the long run. Cars fail, appliances break, teeth hurt, children get sick, and homes need repairs. What is unexpected is the timing, which is exactly why a cash cushion matters. But building that cushion is difficult when recurring costs already consume the month. Advising people to save more without acknowledging the price of necessities can feel like telling someone to fill a bucket while the bottom is open. Bill triage also creates shame. People hide unopened envelopes, avoid account balances, or delay a call because every reminder feels accusatory. The financial problem becomes an emotional problem, which makes clear decisions harder. This is where economic anxiety becomes physically exhausting. The brain keeps running simulations. What can wait? What will charge a fee? What will damage credit? And what can be explained to the family? A society can report rising total wealth while many households live this way because wealth is unevenly distributed. Asset gains help owners. They do not automatically pay the renter's utility bill or erase a revolving card balance. Job behavior provides another warning. The labor market may not be collapsing, yet workers can become afraid to move. They stay in roles they dislike because the risk of a long search feels worse than the certainty of a bad fit. Recent labor data showed only modest payroll growth, while the number of long-term unemployed remained higher than a year earlier. The unemployment rate alone cannot capture the fear of becoming stuck outside the workforce. A person with a job may still search quietly, update a resume, collect certifications, or take interviews as insurance. That is not ambition alone. It can be a defensive response to layoffs, automation, reorganizations, and uncertain demand. Workers also notice what happens around them. Open roles stay unfilled, departures are not replaced, contractors disappear, and teams are asked to do more with fewer people. No formal layoff is needed for the message to spread. Quitting becomes less attractive when finding the next job feels uncertain. That changes workplace power. Employees tolerate schedules, workloads, and management decisions they might have rejected in a stronger market. At the same time, job postings can create false comfort. A listing may remain open for months, attract hundreds of applicants, or represent a future need rather than an immediate hire. The visible number of openings is not the same as access to a job. Long searches carry hidden costs. Savings shrink, health insurance changes, retirement contributions stop, and confidence erodes. Even after re-employment, the household may spend months repairing the damage. Job fear also changes consumer behavior before income falls. People postpone vacations, cars, furniture, and home projects because the possibility of unemployment becomes part of the budget. That is why a stable headline can coexist with a cautious public. People do not wait for an official recession to protect themselves. They react to the probability of personal disruption. Housing may be the clearest example of paralysis. Many renters feel unable to buy, many owners feel unable to move, and many potential sellers hesitate because replacing an older mortgage with a much more expensive loan can wreck the monthly budget. High prices and borrowing costs do not need to rise further to cause pain. They only need to stay elevated long enough. Time turns temporary unaffordability into delayed marriages, crowded homes, long commutes, and postponed children. Renters face a different trap. Moving can require deposits, application fees, transportation, time off work, and a higher advertised rent. Staying may be expensive, but leaving can require cash that the household does not have. Homeownership is often described as a wealth engine, but the engine is difficult to enter. A down payment competes with student debt, rent, childcare, insurance, and the need for emergency savings after the purchase. Even buyers who qualify may fear becoming house poor. The mortgage is only the visible cost. Taxes, insurance, repairs, utilities, association fees, and maintenance can turn the dream into a monthly stress test. Builders and sellers may offer incentives, but buyers understand that a temporary concession does not erase the long-term obligation. The price of the decision is measured over years, not at the closing table. Housing anxiety also widens the generational divide. Owners with older loans may enjoy low fixed payments and rising equity. Younger households face today's prices and today's financing, often with less time to accumulate savings. The result is a strange market where people want change but cannot afford movement. They stay in the wrong apartment, the wrong city, or the wrong house because the transition cost is too high. When shelter stops feeling like a foundation and starts feeling like a trap, economic fear becomes geographic. It determines where people can live, work, raise children, and care for relatives. Cars tell a similar story. Federal regional reports have noted consumers holding vehicles longer and spending more on repairs. That is rational when replacement prices and financing costs feel worse than another visit to the mechanic. But older vehicles create uncertainty. A repair can arrive without warning, and the owner must decide whether to fix a car that may soon need something else. Every choice is made with incomplete information. Maintenance costs have also risen. Parts, labor, tires, and specialized electronics can turn a routine problem into a large bill. A modern vehicle may be safer and more efficient, but it can also be expensive to diagnose and repair. Insurance adds pressure even when premiums cool in some periods or places. The household experiences the bill as another fixed charge that must be paid before the car can legally and safely keep earning income. For many Americans, transportation is not optional. The car connects home to work, school, groceries, medical care, and family. A failure can become an employment problem within hours. This is why people defer cosmetic damage, ignore warning lights, stretch tire life, or postpone recommended service. The decision may be risky, but it often reflects a hierarchy of urgent bills rather than carelessness. Auto loans can deepen the trap. A borrower may owe more than the vehicle is worth, making trade-in difficult. The payment continues even as repairs begin, creating the worst combination of old car costs and new car debt. The fear appears in the question people ask the mechanic: What is the minimum I must do today? That sentence is not about optimal maintenance. It is about surviving the current pay cycle. When households keep aging vehicles not because they love them, but because replacement feels impossible, the road becomes another map of economic caution. Another signal is selective deprivation. People cut large pleasures, subscriptions, and premium habits, yet preserve one small treat. From the outside, that can look inconsistent. Inside the budget, it is emotional damage control. A household may cancel a trip and still buy a coffee. It may stop dining out but keep one streaming service. It may abandon premium groceries except for the one product that makes a hard week feel familiar. This is not proof that the person is secretly comfortable. Small purchases cannot usually solve a housing, childcare, or medical cost problem. Eliminating every modest pleasure may save less than critics imagine while making life feel relentlessly punitive. The real sign is how carefully the treat is rationed. People wait for points, split portions, choose the smallest size, or move the purchase to payday. Spontaneity disappears before consumption disappears. Premium products are responding to this tension. Smaller packages, trial sizes, limited promotions, and entry-level versions allow customers to remain connected to an identity while spending less at one time. Subscriptions face harsher scrutiny because they are silent. A monthly charge can survive for years without a fresh decision. Anxious consumers now audit statements, rotate entertainment services, cancel free trials quickly, and challenge charges they once ignored. But companies know friction works. Cancellation may require several screens, a phone call, or a final series of offers. The business model benefits when fatigue defeats intent. Convenience habits are also renegotiated. People carry water, pack snacks, brew at home, combine errands, and wait before clicking buy. These actions sound small because each saves little. Their power comes from repetition. Selective deprivation is a sign of fear because it shows the household is optimizing not for joy or long-term growth, but for the least painful version of restraint. The final signal is the collapse of easy economic narratives. Retail sales can rise while shoppers buy fewer units. Household wealth can rise while renters feel poorer. Consumer spending can remain strong because people are paying more, borrowing more, or protecting only a few priorities. Recent retail figures showed higher sales dollars, but those totals were not adjusted for price changes. A larger number at the register does not automatically mean a larger pile of goods leaving the store. Consumer sentiment has remained weak by historical standards, even when it improved from a worse month. That tells us people are not responding only to current income. They are responding to accumulated prices, uncertainty, and the fear of future shocks. This is why the word resilient can irritate people. Economists use it to describe continued activity. Households may hear it as praise for their ability to endure conditions they never chose. Resilience can hide extraction. A family keeps spending because food, rent, transportation, and medicine cannot be canceled. The economy records demand. The household records another month with no margin. It can also hide inequality. A high-income household may keep traveling and investing, while a lower-income household skips care and carries groceries on a card. Added together, the averages look calmer than either life feels. The public response is becoming permanent. Store brands win trust, coupon habits harden, cars stay longer, moves are delayed, and convenience becomes suspect. Even if inflation cools further, the memory of the surge will continue shaping behavior. That may be the strongest sign of all. Americans are not waiting for a formal declaration that something is wrong. They have already changed routines, loyalties, risk tolerance, and expectations. The anxiety is not one dramatic event. It is a new operating system built from repeated disappointments. Every price surprise teaches the household to expect another one. That expectation becomes its own economic force. It makes families save defensively, postpone commitments, and demand discounts even after conditions improve, because the memory of being caught unprepared can outlast the price surge and shape choices for years ahead. So what do these 15 signals tell us together? Prices do not need to be accelerating rapidly for people to feel trapped. The level matters, the debt matters, the lack of slack matters. And uncertainty can change behavior before any headline confirms a downturn. Grocery math, store brand switching, shrinkflation awareness, coupon dependence, store hopping, restaurant trade downs, delivery hesitation, installment debt, bill triage, job fear, housing paralysis, aging cars, and selective treats all point in the same direction. They show a consumer who is still functioning but no longer relaxed. Spending continues, yet every dollar receives an assignment. Pleasure must justify itself. Convenience must prove its value. Loyalty must earn a discount. They also show why simple blame fails. Some households need better habits. Many are already using every habit experts recommend. The deeper problem is that necessities rose faster than the sense of security required to absorb them. None of this guarantees an economic crash. Fear can ease, wages can catch up, rates can fall, competition can force better prices. But confidence returns slowly because households remember how quickly stability disappeared. The practical lesson is to watch behavior, not only headlines. When millions of people reorganize shopping, borrowing, work, housing, and transportation around protection, that is economic information. It is also a warning to businesses. Customers may tolerate higher prices for a while, but they are learning substitutes, reading unit prices, canceling habits, and discovering which premiums were never necessary. And it is a warning to policymakers. Telling people that an average improved will not rebuild trust unless the improvement reaches rent, food, energy, healthcare, transportation, and the ability to handle one bad week. Like this video if it gave language to what you have been seeing, and share it with someone who keeps hearing that the economy is fine while their budget says otherwise. Then comment with one specific answer. Which expense changed your behavior the most? And what did you stop buying, delay, replace, or do yourself because of it?